She thought because I was 68 years old that I couldn't fight back. She thought because I drove a beat-up Ford pickup that I didn't understand technology. She thought because I was a widower living alone that I'd be grateful for any family around, no matter how they treated me. She was wrong on all three counts. My name is Robert Mitchell, but everyone calls me Bob. I spent 40 years as a mechanical engineer before retiring 5 years ago. My wife Sarah passed away that same year. And honestly, the grief nearly killed me too. The only thing that kept me going was my garage. That space wasn't just somewhere I parked my truck. It was where I kept Sarah's memory alive. In that garage sat a 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback in Wimbledon white. Sarah had always wanted one. We'd talked about getting it for years, but life kept getting in the way. Kids to raise, mortgage to pay, college tuitions, the usual story. Then when Michael, our son, finally graduated and got a good job in Seattle, I surprised Sarah with it for our 35th wedding anniversary. She cried when she saw it. We spent that whole summer restoring it together, even though she didn't know a carburetor from a crankshaft. She didn't need to. She'd hand me tools, play her favorite Fleetwood Mac cassettes on an old boombox, and tell me stories about her day at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. Those were the best months of my life. 6 months later, she was gone. I couldn't bring myself to finish the Mustang after that. It sat in the garage, about 80% complete, covered with a tarp. Sometimes I'd go out there, sit in the driver's seat, and play those same cassette tapes. I know it sounds pathetic for a grown man, but it was the only place I felt close to her anymore. Then, 3 months ago, my son Michael called. He'd been laid off. Tech industry downsizing. The same story you hear everywhere these days. He and his wife Jessica needed a place to stay while he looked for new work. Just temporary, he said. 2, maybe 3 months tops. I should mention that I barely knew Jessica. They'd gotten married 2 years ago at a courthouse ceremony in Seattle. I'd met her exactly twice before they got married. Both times briefly, when they visited for holidays. She seemed nice enough, I guess. Talked a lot about social media and content creation, whatever that meant. She had this way of looking at her phone constantly, even mid-conversation, but I figured that was just how young people were these days. Michael had been distant since college. Not hostile, just busy with his own life. I understood that. Kids grow up and move away. That's natural. But I was still his father, and when your kid needs help, you help. That's what family does. So I said yes. They could stay in the spare bedroom until Michael found work. They arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Michael looked tired, stressed. Jessica seemed cheerful, though. She walked through my house like she was touring a museum, commenting on everything. "Oh, this is so vintage," she'd say, touching my furniture. Very cottagecore aesthetic. For mummer. I had no idea what that meant. "Dad, I really appreciate this," Michael said that first night over dinner. "I'm sorry to impose." "You're not imposing," I told him. "You're my son. Stay as long as you need." Jessica smiled at me. "You're so sweet, Bob. And this house has such good bones. Great natural lighting, too." The first week went fine. Michael spent his days applying for jobs online. Jessica was always on her phone or laptop, doing her content creation work. I mostly stayed out of their way. Spent time in my garage organizing tools, thinking about maybe finally finishing Sarah's Mustang. Then I had to go to Phoenix for a week. My old college buddy Frank was having his 70th birthday, and I'd promised to be there months ago. I almost canceled because of Michael and Jessica staying with me, but Michael insisted I should go. "Dad, seriously, go. We're fine here. You deserve to enjoy yourself." So I went. Had a great time catching up with old friends, reminiscing about our engineering days. Feeling almost like my old self again. I got back on a Sunday afternoon, around 3 o'clock. The moment I pulled into my driveway, I knew something was wrong. My garage door was painted, bright white with some kind of decorative pattern. There were also ring lights set up inside, visible through the window. I sat in my truck for a minute, staring. Maybe I was seeing things. Maybe the desert sun in Phoenix had fried my brain. But no, my garage had definitely been transformed into something else entirely. I got out and walked to the garage door. It was locked. Not just closed, actually padlocked with a combination lock I'd never seen before. Through the window, I could see my workbench had been pushed against the wall. My tools were gone. In their place was a white desk, a computer setup, and what looked like professional camera equipment, and the Mustang. Sarah's Mustang. I craned my neck to look. It wasn't there. My heart started pounding. I walked around the side of the garage, looking through every window. No Mustang. Just this sterile white space that looked like something out of a furniture catalog. I went to the house, my hands shaking as I unlocked the front door. "Michael," I called out. No answer. I checked his room. Empty. I checked the living room, the kitchen. Then I heard music coming from upstairs. Pop music. Loud, with bass thumping. I climbed the stairs. The music was coming from my bedroom. My bedroom. I opened the door. Jessica was there, setting up camera equipment. She'd rearranged all my furniture. My bed was pushed against a different wall. Sarah's dresser was gone. Everything was white and beige and looked like a hotel room. She jumped when she saw me, then recovered with a smile. "Bob, you're back early. I thought you weren't coming until tonight." "What?" I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "Is going on here?" "Oh," she gestured around. "Do you like it? I've been working so hard on this. Your room had such great natural light, but it was so dark before. I lightened it up. Much better for content, don't you think?" "Content," I repeated. "Where is my furniture? I donated some of it. The rest is in the basement. Don't worry. I kept anything that looked sentimental." I felt like I couldn't breathe. "Where's my son?" "Michael. He went to a job interview in Tacoma. Won't be back until late tonight. He got a call back finally. Isn't that great?" "Where?" I said, my voice getting louder. "Is the Mustang?" Her smile faltered slightly. "The car? Oh, that old thing was taking up so much space. I needed the garage for my studio. I'm a content creator, you know. My followers have been asking for better production quality, and that garage was perfect. Natural light, good acoustics." "Where is the car, Jessica?" "I moved it." "Moved it where?" She hesitated. "It's parked behind the garage, under a tarp." "It's fine, Bob. It was just sitting there. Anyway, right?" I walked out of my bedroom, down the stairs, out the back door, around to behind the garage. The Mustang was there, uncovered, despite what she'd said. It had been sitting in the rain. The paint looked dull and streaked. I stood there looking at it. At Sarah's car. The last thing we'd built together. Something cold settled in my chest. Not anger yet. Something worse. I walked back into the house. Jessica was in the kitchen now, making herself a smoothie. "Bob, I know the garage thing might be a surprise, but trust me, it's for the best. You weren't using it anyway, and I really needed the space. My content creation is actually making pretty good money now. I'm almost at 500,000 followers on Instagram. Pack your things," I said quietly. She stopped mid-blend. "What?" "You and Michael. Pack your things. You have until tomorrow evening." Her face changed. The friendly mask dropped, just for a second, and I saw something else underneath. Something calculating. "Bob, come on. Don't be dramatic. It's just a garage. Just some old furniture. You're retired. You don't need all that stuff anymore. That car belonged to my wife. I know. And it's still there. It's fine. Nothing happened to it. You left it in the rain. I forgot to put the tarp on. My bad. But it's just a car, Bob. It's been sitting there incomplete for years. Be honest. Were you ever really going to finish it?" That's when I realized. She knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't carelessness. This was a test. She was seeing how much she could take, how far she could push. I'd seen it before in my engineering career. People who push boundaries take more and more until someone pushes back. And if you don't push back immediately, they learn they can take everything. 24 hours, I said. Tomorrow evening by 6 p.m. She laughed. Actually laughed. Are you serious right now? Where are we supposed to go? Michael just got this interview. We don't have money for a deposit on a new place yet. That's not my problem. Bob, I really think you're overreacting. Let me be clear, I said. And my voice must have carried something because she stopped talking. This is my house. That is my garage. That was my wife's car. You didn't ask permission for any of this. You just took it. So now, I'm taking it back. You have 24 hours. I turned and walked toward my bedroom. She followed me. This is so unfair. We're family. Michael is your son. What kind of father kicks out his own kid? I stopped at the stairs. The kind whose daughter-in-law thinks she can move into his home and redecorate without asking. You said we could stay as long as we needed. I said you could stay in the spare bedroom, not take over my garage, not rearrange my bedroom, not put my wife's car out in the rain. God, you're so selfish. You live in this big house all alone. You don't use half this space. I'm actually doing something productive with it, building a business, and you can't handle a few changes? I looked at her then. Really looked at her. She was 32 years old, young enough to be my daughter. She was pretty in that careful, curated way that social media people are. Perfect makeup, styled hair, outfit that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. And she genuinely believed she was right. That's what struck me. She actually thought she was the reasonable one here. 24 hours, I repeated, and went into my bedroom. Or what used to be my bedroom. I started moving furniture back. It took me 2 hours, but I got my room back to some semblance of normal. Jessica didn't help. She stayed downstairs, and I could hear her on the phone, completely unreasonable. Yes, I'm serious. No, he's throwing us out. I don't know. Some stupid car. Michael got home around 10 p.m. I heard them arguing downstairs. His voice was tired, defeated. Hers was sharp, angry. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was clear. Around 11, Michael knocked on my door. Dad, can we talk? I let him in. He looked exhausted, older than 35. When had he gotten so thin? Dad, Jessica told me what happened. I'm sorry. She shouldn't have done that without asking. No, she shouldn't have. But can we please stay? Just a little longer? That interview today went really well. They might make an offer by the end of the week. We just need a few more days. From Evergen. 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 I wanted to say yes. He was my son. But I looked at him. Really looked at him. And I realized something. He wasn't asking because he wanted to stay. He was asking because Jessica had told him to ask. What did she tell you? Exactly, I asked. He blinked. What do you mean? About what she did to the garage. To the Mustang. She said she cleaned it up a bit. Made it nicer. She turned it into a photography studio. She put your mother's car outside in the rain. His face went pale. In the rain? For a week, Michael. Maybe longer. I didn't know that part. What did you think happened to it? She said she moved it to make room for her equipment. I thought she meant she just parked it differently inside the garage. We looked at each other. In that moment, I saw my son realize something he'd probably been avoiding for a long time. That his wife wasn't quite the person he thought she was. Dad, I'm sorry. I'll talk to her. We'll fix this. It's already fixed. You're leaving tomorrow. Please. I'll make her apologize. We'll clean out the garage, put everything back. Just give us one more chance. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I thought about Sarah, about what she would say if she were here. Sarah never minced words. She would say, "Bob, if you let them stay now, you're teaching them they can walk all over you. And that boy needs to learn to stand up to his wife." "I'm sorry, Michael. My decision stands." He left. I heard more arguing downstairs. It went on until past midnight. The next morning, I woke up early. Went down to make coffee. The garage key was sitting on the kitchen counter with a note. "Hope you're happy with yourself. Some father you are, Jessica." I took the key and went to the garage. The padlock was still there, but now I had the combination. Inside, it was worse than I'd seen through the window. All my tools were gone. My workbench was covered with fabric backdrops. There was a ring light set up, a camera on a tripod, a computer with a large monitor, but no tools, no equipment. Nothing I'd accumulated over 40 years of mechanical work. I went back inside. Michael was up, packing boxes in silence. Jessica was on her phone, ignoring me. "Where are my tools?" I asked. Jessica didn't look up. "Sold them." The room went very quiet. "You sold them. Needed money for equipment. That stuff was just sitting there. You weren't using it." And Michael's head snapped up. "Jessica, what? You didn't tell me you sold his tools." "They were old tools, Michael. Relax." I felt that cold clarity again, sharper this time. "Where did you sell them?" She sighed, annoyed. "Craigslist. Some pawn shop in Tacoma. I don't remember every single transaction." "How much did you get?" "I don't know. Like $1,500 maybe?" $1,500. For tools I'd collected over 40 years. Tools that were worth at least 10,000, probably more. Some of them had been my father's. Some were custom made. "You're going to get them back." She laughed. Actually laughed again. "They're gone, Bob. Sold." "What am I supposed to do? Track down every single person?" "Yes. That's insane. They were just tools. They were my tools. You had no right to sell them. I needed equipment for my business. Michael's been out of work for 3 months. Someone had to make money." Michael was staring at her. "You told me your parents sent you money for equipment." She waved her hand dismissively. "They did. Some of it. The rest, I made up by selling stuff we didn't need. My dad's tools weren't yours to sell, Jessica." "Oh, don't you start too. I'm so sick of this. We needed money. I made money. You should be thanking me." I pulled out my phone and called the police non-emergency number. "What are you doing?" Jessica asked. "Reporting a theft." Her face went white. "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" An officer arrived about 20 minutes later. By then, Michael and Jessica had stopped packing. They sat on the couch, Michael looking miserable, Jessica furious. I explained what happened. The officer took notes. He asked Jessica if she'd sold my tools. "Yes." "But, did you have permission?" "He wasn't using them." "Did you have permission, ma'am?" She pressed her lips together. Said nothing. The officer looked at me. "You want to press charges?" I thought about it. About my son, about his career, about how this would follow them. "Not yet," I said. "If she returns the money she made from selling my property, we can call it even." Jessica exploded. "That money is spent. I can't just magic it back into existence." "Then you'll have to work to earn it back," the officer said calmly. "The alternative is theft charges. Your choice." Michael finally spoke up. "I'll cover it, Dad. I'll pay you back." "With what money?" Jessica snapped. "I'll figure it out." The officer left after giving Jessica a warning. The room was silent after he went. "You called the cops on your own family," Jessica said. Her voice was cold. "That's low, Bob. Really low. You stole from me. I borrowed. You sold my property without permission. That's theft, Jessica. I'm actually being generous by not pressing charges." "Generous," she spat. "Right. So generous. Kicking us out, calling the cops, treating us like criminals. We came here because we needed help. And this is how you treat family." Family doesn't steal, I said quietly. She stood up. You know what? Fine. We're leaving. They left that afternoon. Michael hugged me before he went. He whispered, I'm sorry, Dad. I'll pay you back. I promise. I told him I loved him. That I'd always be here if he needed me. But I meant if he needed me. Not if Jessica needed a place to treat like her personal studio. After they left, I stood in my garage looking at the white walls, the missing tools, the empty space where my workbench used to be. Then I went to check on the Mustang. Sat in the driver's seat. Water had damaged the interior. The seats were stained. Some of the original cassette tapes were ruined. I put my head in my hands and I cried. First time I'd really cried since Sarah died. But here's the thing about being an engineer. We solve problems. That's what we do. So the next day, I started making calls. First to insurance, but they said this probably wouldn't be covered. Then to my lawyer, just to understand my options. That's when things got interesting. My lawyer, Tom, an old friend, asked me a few questions about the timeline. When they'd arrived. When I'd left for Phoenix. What condition I'd left the garage in. Then he asked me something that made me pause. Bob, did you give them permission to alter your property? No. Any of it? The garage? Your bedroom? Anything? No. Did you give Michael power of attorney or any legal authority over your property while you were gone? Of course not. Tom was quiet for a moment. Bob, I need to look into something. Can you come to my office tomorrow? I mind. Bob gave in. I mina. I did. Tom had printouts of Jessica's social media accounts. Her Instagram, her TikTok, her YouTube channel. I did some digging, he said. Your daughter-in-law is more than just a content creator. She's a lifestyle influencer with about 500,000 followers across platforms. She makes money through sponsorships, affiliate links, and ad revenue. Okay, I said, not understanding why this mattered. Look at these posts from the last 3 weeks. He showed me her Instagram. There were photos of my garage, transformed into her studio. Photos of my bedroom, rearranged and redecorated. Photos of her sitting at my kitchen table, drinking coffee, with captions like, cozy morning in my favorite space, and grateful for this beautiful home. She's pretending it's her house, Tom said. Look at the captions. My studio. My home. Office. Our home. She's built content around living in what appears to be a nice suburban house. And her followers think she owns it. So, Bob, she's making money off your property. Without your permission. That's not just theft of your tools. That's possibly fraud. Definitely copyright violation if you want to push it. And at minimum, she's profiting from your property without compensation or consent. I stared at the photos. There were dozens of them. Some had tens of thousands of likes, comments from her followers gushing about her beautiful home, her amazing studio space, asking where she got various items in my house. There's more, Tom said. Look at this. He showed me a listing. On Zillow. For my house. She listed your house for sale? Not exactly. Look closer. It wasn't a formal listing. It was on some home rental site I'd never heard of. But there was my house. My address. Listed as luxury home office space available for rent for content creators. $500 per day. She's been renting out your house, Tom said. While you were in Phoenix. While you've been letting them stay there. Out of kindness. She's been running a business. Out of your property. I felt numb. Michael knows about this? I don't know. But we can find out. Bob, if you want, we can make a real case here. This isn't just about your tools anymore. I thought about Michael. About him being stressed, looking for work. About whether he knew what his wife was doing. I made a decision. I want Ring cameras, I said. Can you help me set those up? Tom blinked. Ring cameras? Yes. I want to document everything. Before I do anything, I want to know exactly what's going on. So that's what we did. Over the next week, Tom helped me set up Ring cameras throughout my house. Doorbell camera. One in the garage. One in the living room. One in the kitchen. All legally. All in common areas. All within my rights as the property owner. Then I did something that felt sneaky but necessary. I called Michael. "Dad?" He sounded surprised. We hadn't spoken since they'd left. "Son, I've been thinking. I was too harsh. If you and Jessica want to come back, you can. Until you find work." Silence. Then, "Really? Really? I'm sorry. I overreacted. You're my son. You need help. That's what family does." More silence. "Dad, that means a lot. But, are you sure?" Jessica was pretty hurt. "I know. Tell her I apologize. She can have the garage for her studio. She can redecorate. Whatever she needs. I just want my son around." It was the hardest lie I've ever told. They moved back in 3 days later. Jessica was cold to me, but polite. She set her studio back up, started posting again, and I watched. Through my Ring cameras, through her social media, I documented everything. I saw her renting out my house to other content creators while I was out running errands. $50 an hour for access to my living room, my kitchen, my backyard. I saw her going through my belongings when she thought I wasn't home. Taking things. Not to sell, but to use as props in her photos. Then putting them back. I saw Michael too, coming home from job interviews looking hopeful, then deflated when Jessica barely looked up from her phone. Eating alone, while she filmed herself eating different meals for content. Meals she'd throw away after getting the shot. I saw him finding bills. Confronting her. Their arguments. "Jessica, you said you'd cut back on expenses. I need this equipment for work. You spent $3,000 at Best Buy. We can't afford that. My content is our future, Michael. You should be supporting me. I've been on 12 interviews. I'm trying. Try harder." I watched my son shrink, day by day, week by week, and I watched Jessica plan. That was the worst part. Watching her take photos of my house, measurements, talking on the phone about securing the property, looking up information about elder care, about convincing someone they're not capable of living alone. She was planning to have me declared incompetent. To take my house. Tom watched the footage with me. His face was grim. "Bob, this is serious. She's committing fraud. Multiple counts. The rental situation alone could get her arrested." "Not yet," I said. "What are you waiting for?" "I want Michael to see," I said. "I want him to see it himself." So I waited. Documented. Collected evidence. Watched my daughter-in-law plan to steal my life, while my son slowly realized what kind of person he'd married. It took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of watching, waiting, gathering evidence. Then one night, Michael found something. I wasn't sure what, but I saw it on the cameras. He came home early from an interview. Went into the garage where Jessica was filming. Their argument was loud enough for the camera to pick up. "What the hell is this? What are you talking about?" "These messages. On your computer. You're planning to have my dad declared incompetent?" "Michael, calm down. You've been renting out his house. Behind his back. For money. We need money. He's letting us stay here for free. He gave you his garage. And you're stealing from him." "I'm not stealing. I'm building a business." "You're a fraud, Jessica." "Oh my God. I married a fraud." That's when I walked in. I'd been in my bedroom, listening through the camera feed on my phone. But it was time. They both stopped when they saw me. Jessica's face went through several expressions. Surprise, calculation, then landing on innocent confusion. "Bob, I can explain. I know about the rentals," I said quietly. "I know about the plan to have me declared incompetent. I know about all of it. Jessica, I don't know what Michael told you, but I have cameras." She froze. "Ring cameras. Throughout the house, installed 5 weeks ago. I have footage of everything. Every rental. Every conversation. Every plan." Michael looked at me. "You've been recording us?" I've been recording common areas of my house. Yes. Which is completely legal. And very informative. Jessica's face went red. You fucking bastard. This whole time I've been documenting how my daughter-in-law moved into my home, stole from me, rented out my property for profit, and planned to have me declared incompetent so she could take ownership of my house. Yes, you can't prove. I pulled out my phone, started playing footage, her on camera, talking to someone about the old man and how he's 70, basically senile already. It won't be hard to convince a court. Her face went white. Michael looked sick. I've given all of this to my lawyer, I said, and to the police. They're very interested in the fraud charges, the theft, the attempted elder exploitation. Elder exploitation, she repeated. That's exactly what it is. And it's a felony, Jessica. We stood there, the three of us, in what used to be my garage. Now her studio, lit with ring lights that made everything feel sterile and artificial. Michael, I said, not looking away from Jessica, you have a choice to make. You can stay here, testify against her, and help make this right. Or you can leave with her. But if you leave, you're choosing her over what's right, and I can't help you anymore. Michael looked at his wife. Really looked at her. Maybe for the first time in years. I'm sorry, Dad, he said finally. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know most of this. I know, son, but she's my wife. I can't just... He couldn't finish, but I understood. Jessica grabbed his arm. Come on. We don't need this. We don't need him. I'll figure something out. They left that night, packed everything in an hour. Jessica didn't say goodbye. Michael hugged me at the door, crying. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I love you, I told him. When you're ready to leave her, I'll be here. But I can't watch you let her destroy you anymore. The police arrested Jessica 2 days later at her parents' house in Portland. Fraud charges, multiple counts. Turns out she'd done similar things before, to her previous boyfriend's family. But they hadn't pressed charges. Michael called me after she was arrested. He was staying with a friend. He'd filed for divorce. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said. Nothing to forgive, I told him. You were manipulated by someone you loved. That's not a crime. I should have seen it. Love makes us blind sometimes. Your mother used to say that. He was quiet. Then, the Mustang. Is it okay? I'm working on it. The interior needs replacing. But it's fixable. Everything's fixable. With enough time and effort. Can I help? When this is all over, I thought about it. About my son, learning the hard way what kind of person Jessica really was. About second chances. About Sarah, and what she would want. Yeah, I said. You can help. I'd like that. Jessica took a plea deal eventually. Probation, restitution, community service. Her social media following evaporated once the news got out. Turns out, people don't like fraud. Michael got a job. Good one, too. At a tech company in Bellevue. He comes over most Sundays now. We're rebuilding the Mustang together. Taking our time. Doing it right. Last week, we got the engine running. That beautiful V8 rumble filled the garage. And for a moment, I could almost feel Sarah there with us. Smiling, Michael looked at me. You think Mom would be proud of the car? Yeah, but more proud that her son learned to stand up for what's right, even when it was hard. Of the car. We're not done yet. The Mustang still needs work. My relationship with Michael is still healing, but we're getting there. Step by step, day by day, and I learned something through all of this. Being old doesn't mean being weak. Being kind doesn't mean being stupid. Sometimes it's patience, documentation, and letting someone's own actions speak for themselves. Jessica thought I was weak because I was 68. She thought I was incompetent because I wasn't on social media. She thought she could take everything because I was just some old man who didn't understand the modern world. But here's what she didn't understand. I spent 40 years as an engineer. I know how to document, how to plan, how to build a case that's stronger than any lie. She underestimated me because of my age. That was her first mistake. Her last mistake was thinking that just because I was patient, I wouldn't fight back. I tell people now, never mistake an old man's patience for permission. We've seen more, dealt with more, and survived more than any 32-year-old content creator can imagine. And we know that the best victories aren't loud. They're methodical, documented, and absolutely certain. The Mustang is coming along nicely. Michael and I are planning a road trip once it's done. Maybe up the Pacific Coast Highway, like Sarah always wanted to do. Some things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth being patient for. And some things, like family and memory and justice, are worth every second it takes to get them right.